The Illawarra district of New South Wales is a narrow strip of land running along the south coast. Washed by the waters of the Pacific and backed by mountains, it is one of the richest districts in Australia. There are dairy farms along its rolling valleys, and on the south coast in 1797, coal was first discovered in Australia. Coal, the black gold standard of the coast from Helensburgh to Wollongong. This coal is suitable for the making of high-grade coke, and thousands of tons a year travel to the coking works. Coke to supply Australian industries, coke for the blast furnaces at Newcastle and Port Kembla, coke to be shipped all over Australia as well as abroad. For over 50 years, mine owners on the south coast have drawn huge profits from the earth. But for the miner, the dividend is death. For every ton of coal produced, 13 shillings is paid in compensation. Compensation paid out for accidents caused by antiquated methods. Compensation paid out for illness caused by bad conditions. Compensation paid out for dust. Every year, over 200 miners are forced to leave the pits because they are dusted. A black thought for the men still underground. A black thought for the men still working. Not much of a place to wash after a morning's work. Nothing much in the way of pit-top amenities. A place to eat, that's all. A place to remember that South Coast mines are amongst the worst in the world for dust. A place to chew over the hard facts of the future. The percentage of dusted men is rising. Every year, 10% of the miners become dusted. Because of the dust, production is falling. Because of the dust, young men are going to other jobs. In 10 years, the mines will be idle. The Southern District of the Miners' Federation makes the compensation claims for the dusted men. Got a cough, miner? Difficulty in breathing? Heart strain? Tubercular condition? You're dusted. 11 cases in 1 day. 17 cases in 3 days. In the first 5 months of 1947, 240 men condemned to death. A government medical examination may report the dusted man fit for light work. He must go back to the mines or starve. The miners claim that once a man has even a low percentage of dust, he should receive compensation. Fit for light work. Go back to the pits, miner. Your case is shelved by the medical board. Go back to breathe in tiny unseen particles of dust until your lungs become as black and as hard as coal. There is not even a hospital for industrial diseases on the coast with regular medical inspections. There are a few beds at Prince Henry Hospital in Sydney. From the first sign of dust, the miner knows he can never be cured. His family knows. Checker Smith, 65 years old, 9 years dusted. All his life he has been a miner. Now he is dumped with the slag of the mines that has choked his lungs. Checker Smith and these men need not have been dusted. They could still be working if the mines were equipped with the latest methods of water infusion. Professor Jones, Welsh mining expert brought to Australia by the federal government, reported that if mines in the south coast use water infusion, no man need fear the dust, but owners object to the cost of installation. The average age of a dusted miner has fallen from 50 years to 40. Today, he may look healthy, but the disease is progressive. It builds up in the lungs. He finds difficulty in breathing, and a strain is placed on the heart. Many of these men had to wait 6 months before the court granted them compensation. Ted Whitehouse, 65, 40 years in the mine, 7 years dusted. He cannot walk 50 yards without resting. William Thornton, 53, 7 years dusted. Wasted from 12 stone to 7. He is now dead. All along the coast are the graves of the dusted men. This is the end of every miner on the south coast who stays in the mines. For years, the miners have waited on government promises. Now they demand action. Legislation to compel owners to install water infusion. Abolition of the clause fit for light work. A march on Parliament House to enforce these demands. Over 2,000 miners from the south coast were joined by delegates from the northern and western districts. Trade union and other representatives were waiting to welcome them and offer support. The dusted men, the old miners, and the young miners, fighting for their future. The struggle of the dusted miners is part of the struggle of all workers for better conditions. At Parliament House, the miners' delegates put their case to the government. For 3 hours, the miners waited. For years they have waited. Waited for safety methods in mines free from dust and back-breaking toil. The young men have waited. Waited for conditions that will guarantee that they will not have to hew out the coal with the knowledge that they will become old before their time, like Ted Whitehouse and his dusted comrades. They have waited for legislation that will give them the right to live their few remaining years in comfort and security. For years they have waited. They will wait no longer. The delegates return, and they tell the miners that the government has agreed to introduce measures ensuring safety methods in mines. But for the men already dusted, compensation anomalies will not be eliminated. Our claims for the dusted men must be met. Through Sydney's streets they march, marching beside the workers in every industry. They are fighting the real causes of industrial unrest, inadequate health measures, low wages, bad conditions. They are fighting for security for themselves and their families, fighting for an extra hour of life. Their wives and daughters march with them. They know that unless there is safety in the mines, men will sit down on the job, mines will be idle, factories will stop work. Without coal, the whole nation will be paralyzed. In April 1947, the government agreed to give the dusted men a better deal, but the clause fit for light work still remains. Each day, the number of dusted men is increasing. More men are thrown on the scrap heap. The government has promised to act. Miners demand that the government act now.